On a crisp autumn morning, Liang found himself at Mirror Lake, a place renowned for its mystical properties and rumored to reveal the innermost desires of anyone daring enough to gaze into its depths. Surrounded by trees adorned in fiery reds and golden yellows, the lake shimmered under the sunlight, as if it were an artist's palette spilling vibrant colors onto the canvas of nature. It was a serene setting, but Liang felt anything but serene. His heart was a chaotic mess, much like the pile of laundry waiting for him back home. "Come on, Liang. Just look into the water," May urged, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She had dragged him here, convinced that this enchanted spot would be the answer to his recent string of life disasters. "You never know what might happen. It's like a life coach but with water." Liang rolled his eyes, pushing his messy hair away from his forehead. "Yeah, because a lake is exactly what I need right now. You know, I always thought my life was a comedy, but lately, it feels more like a slapstick routine." "Just try it," May insisted, shoving him toward the edge of the lake. "What's the worst that could happen?" As he stood at the water's edge, Liang couldn't help but feel a bit ridiculous. He had lost his job, been dumped by his girlfriend, and somehow managed to trip over his own feet while trying to impress a stranger at a coffee shop. So, standing here, preparing to stare into a lake to figure out his life felt like just another moment in a series of unfortunate events. He took a deep breath, squatted down, and leaned over the water. The surface rippled, distorting his reflection, and he couldn't help but laugh at the sight before him. It was an exaggerated version of himself, dark circles under his eyes, hair sticking out at odd angles, and a perpetually perplexed expression. "Great. That's the best I can do," he muttered, half amused and half sorrowful. As if on cue, a gaggle of tourists nearby erupted into laughter at his expense. Liang stood up, cheeks flushed, and turned to May. "This is ridiculous. I should just open a circus act at this point." But when he looked back into the lake, something changed. The surface settled, and for a fleeting moment, he saw a clearer reflection. It wasn't just his image that stared back, it was his confusion, his desires, and the weight of his expectations all wrapped into one. The moment was both disconcerting and oddly comforting. He felt a strange pull toward the water, as if it were beckoning him to dive deeper, literally and metaphorically. Okay, I'm going to do it," he announced, his voice carrying a mixture of bravado and uncertainty. "I'm diving into this ridiculous lake." "Are you serious?" May exclaimed, her face a blend of shock and amusement. "You can't be serious." But Liang was done hesitating. With a swift motion, he yanked off his shoes and socks, rolled up his pants, and leaped into the lake. The cool water enveloped him, shocking him into clarity. As he submerged, bubbles surrounded him, and for a moment, he felt weightless. As he sank, the world above faded into a distant blur, replaced by a kaleidoscope of colors swirling around him. Suddenly, he found himself in a vivid landscape, a swirling montage of his memories. He watched himself as a child, splashing through puddles, full of laughter and joy, blissfully unaware of the world's expectations. Flashes of his teenage years flickered by, the awkward dances, the crushes that ended in embarrassing disasters, and the thrill of first love that quickly turned to heartbreak. He cringed at moments of regret, like the time he didn't speak up in class because he was afraid of sounding stupid, or when he let an opportunity slip through his fingers because he was too busy worrying about what others might think. Emerging from the whirlwind of memories, he was greeted by a whimsical figure, a lake spirit named Yun. She floated effortlessly, her hair a cascade of shimmering water lilies, and her eyes sparkled like the surface of the lake under the sun. "Welcome, Liang. I've been waiting for you," she exclaimed with a grin. Her voice was playful, echoing around him like ripples on the surface. "You're braver than most who come here, I'll give you that." Liang blinked, half in awe and half in disbelief. "Wait, you're a water spirit? This is not how I envisioned my day going." Yun laughed, a sound like tinkling bells. Most people don't. But here at Mirror Lake, we embrace the unexpected. Let's explore what you truly desire. I see you've brought a lot of baggage with you. I'm not sure what you mean, Liang stammered, looking around at the vibrant colors swirling around them. Oh, don't play coy with me. Yun teased, waving a hand and revealing scenes from his past, each one a painful reminder of his insecurities and fears. You've been holding on to these for far too long. Let's shed some light on what you really want. Liang felt a lump form in his throat as he saw the young man he used to be, filled with dreams and aspirations. I don't know anymore. I thought I wanted to be a graphic designer, but after losing my job, I'm not even sure I like it. Perhaps you've been chasing the wrong dreams, Yun suggested, tilting her head. Or maybe you've just been trying to please others. What do you really want, Liang? He opened his mouth to respond, but the words tangled in his throat. He had never truly asked himself that question. The pressure to conform had always clouded his judgment, and the expectations of his family and friends loomed large. You don't have to answer now, Yun said gently, sensing his hesitation. Let's take a journey through your heart. Each memory can teach you something. Let's start with the first time you felt truly happy. With a flick of her wrist, the water swirled around them, and Liang found himself back in his childhood home. He was standing in the living room, surrounded by colorful blocks, a canvas of imagination. The laughter of his younger self echoed through the air, and for the first time in years, he felt a flicker of joy ignite within him. He remembered the endless afternoons spent creating art with his mother, the way her face lit up as she encouraged his creativity. You can be anything you want to be, she used to say, her voice nurturing and warm. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. As the scene faded, Liang's heart ached for that child who had so much potential and joy. Do you see? Yun asked, her voice softening. That joy is still in you. You just have to let it surface again. Liang nodded slowly, understanding washing over him. But how? I've strayed so far from that happiness. I don't even know what I want anymore. Yun floated closer, her expression earnest. You're not lost, Liang. You're just in the process of rediscovery. Let's keep going. The next memory awaits. And with that, the lake stirred once more, and Liang plunged into a series of reflections that took him through his teenage years and into his early adulthood. Each scene revealed not just the failures but also the sparks of joy he had overlooked in his quest for validation. After what felt like hours, perhaps moments, Liang surfaced once more, gasping for air. This time, however, his heart felt lighter. He was finally beginning to recognize the patterns in his life, the burdens he had carried alone, and the desires that lay buried beneath layers of expectation. I see it now, he said, the truth blooming within him. I've been so focused on what others wanted me to be that I forgot who I am. Yun smiled, her presence radiant. Exactly. You're on the right path. But the journey isn't just about understanding, it's about embracing who you are, flaws and all. Liang felt a rush of courage. So, what do I do next? Next, we shed the old skin, she declared, eyes sparkling. We let go of what no longer serves you. But first, let's have a little fun. Before he could react, Yun waved her hands, and suddenly, they were surrounded by floating lanterns and whimsical creatures dancing in the air, creating a scene straight out of a fantasy. It was as if the very essence of joy had come to life, enveloping them in a wave of laughter and light. As the enchanting atmosphere enveloped them, Liang couldn't help but laugh, the sound bubbling up from deep within him like a long dormant fountain. Yun led him through a whirlwind of joy and revelry, their surroundings morphing into a carnival of colors and laughter. Floating lanterns danced around them, illuminating the lake with warm, golden light. Whimsical creatures pranced and twirled, embodying the essence of fun and spontaneity, beckoning him to join in. Let it go, Liang. Embrace the laughter. Yun cheered, her voice echoing with infectious joy. Liang felt a twinge of uncertainty but was swept up in the jubilant spirit. He twirled and spun, laughter spilling from his lips as he let the weight of his worries dissolve into the shimmering water. For what felt like hours, he engaged in this delightful revelry, forgetting about his doubts and fears. He danced with the creatures, joined in their laughter, and felt the sheer joy of existence, unburdened by the pressures of the outside world. Every twirl and spin brought him closer to the vibrant essence of his childhood, back to the days when imagination was limitless, and dreams felt attainable. Then, amidst the laughter and lights, a moment of stillness settled over the scene. The creatures paused, their playful antics giving way to a quiet reverence. Liang looked around, feeling the atmosphere shift. It was as if the lake itself was inviting him to dive deeper, not just into the water but into his soul. Now, let's confront the fears that hold you back, Yun said, her tone shifting to one of gentle seriousness. It's time to shed the old skin and face what you've been avoiding. As if on cue, the colorful scene faded, replaced by a darkened landscape reflecting his innermost anxieties. Shadows loomed large, whispering doubts that clawed at his confidence. Liang felt his heart race, the laughter replaced by the haunting echoes of his insecurities. What is this? He gasped, glancing at Yun. I thought we were having fun. We were, and we will again, she reassured him, her expression steady. But to move forward, you must face the shadows. They only have power over you if you let them. Acknowledge them, and they will lose their grip. With a shaky breath, Liang stepped forward into the dark. The shadows twisted and writhed, each representing a fear that had plagued him for years. He saw the doubt about his career, the worry about his relationships, and the crippling fear of failure. Each fear was a figure, towering over him, their faces contorted in mockery. You think you can be an artist? One shadow sneered. Look at your failures. You'll never succeed. Liang clenched his fists, frustration bubbling within him. You're wrong, he shouted. I'm more than my failures. The moment he voiced his defiance, the shadows flickered, losing their form. He took a step forward, emboldened by his own declaration. I've made mistakes, but I've also learned. I want to create. I want to express myself, even if it scares me. As he spoke, the shadows began to dissolve, replaced by light that flooded the landscape. The warmth embraced him, washing away the lingering doubts. The darkness that had once felt so overpowering now shrank beneath the light of his conviction. See? Yun encouraged, her voice like a soothing melody. You've taken your first step. Your power lies not in the absence of fear but in your ability to confront it. Let it go, and embrace who you are. With each moment of acceptance, the darkness receded, and Liang felt lighter, freer. The world around him transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors, each hue representing the dreams he had suppressed. He saw himself painting, creating art that spoke to his heart, surrounded by friends who valued him for who he was, not for what he could achieve. You're reclaiming your truth, Yun said, a proud smile gracing her features. This is just the beginning, Liang. You have the power to craft your own narrative. As the last of the shadows melted away, Liang found himself standing once more by the edge of Mirror Lake. The surface shimmered in the sunlight, reflecting not just his image but his newfound strength and determination. He felt an overwhelming sense of clarity, a deep-rooted understanding of who he was and what he wanted. Thank you, Yun, he said earnestly, turning to the lake spirit. I never imagined I could confront my fears like that. It was terrifying, but liberating. Yun chuckled lightly. The journey is never easy, but it is yours to embrace. Remember, the lake will always reflect your heart. Come back when you need guidance, and keep exploring. With a final wave, she began to fade into the shimmering water, her essence blending into the lake's depths. Liang stood there for a moment, absorbing everything he had learned. The sun's rays sparkled on the surface, and he took a deep breath, feeling more alive than he had in a long time. Feeling buoyant, he made his way back to the shore, the warmth of self-acceptance radiating through him. The vibrant colors of the trees around him seemed to sing, the leaves rustling in a harmonious tune that matched the rhythm of his heart. Once back on solid ground, he turned to May, who had been waiting with an amused expression. "You look like you've just returned from a psychedelic trip, Liang. Did you have fun?" "I did," he replied, laughter bubbling to the surface. "You won't believe what just happened. I faced my fears. I discovered what I really want." "Oh really?" She raised an eyebrow, a teasing smile on her lips. "Does that mean you're going to quit your job and become a professional dancer?" "Because I'm here for it." "Not quite," he chuckled, shaking his head. "But I want to pursue my art. I want to explore graphic design more authentically. It's what I love, not just a job to pay the bills." "Wow, that's amazing." May beamed, her enthusiasm infectious. "I knew this lake had magic. You have to tell me everything." As Liang shared his experience, recounting the journey through his memories and the whimsical spirit who guided him, he felt a sense of joy that had long been missing. The laughter came easily now, and for the first time in ages, he felt confident in his choices. "Hey, so what's next?" May asked, her curiosity piqued. "Are you going to start creating your art right away?" "I want to," he replied, the resolve in his voice evident. "But I need to take my time. It's about rediscovering what I love without pressure. Maybe I'll start small, some sketches or designs, and see where it takes me." "Sounds like a plan," May said, giving him a playful nudge. "Just promise me one thing." "What's that?" "Promise you won't let the shadows creep back in. You've got this newfound confidence, keep it alive." "I promise," Liang said earnestly, feeling the weight of the world lift from his shoulders. "I won't let fear dictate my choices anymore." With the sun beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the sky with strokes of pink and orange, Liang and May made their way back through the trees. They laughed together, the kind of laughter that echoed with possibility. Each step felt lighter, more deliberate. As they reached the edge of the lake one last time, Liang paused to take it all in, the magic of the place, the vibrant energy of the trees, and the promise of a new beginning. "Thank you, Mirror Lake," he whispered, knowing the reflection would always hold the truth of his heart. With a newfound sense of purpose and clarity, Liang took May's hand, and together they headed back toward the life that awaited him, ready to embrace all that came next. The journey of self-discovery was just beginning, and Liang was finally prepared to meet it head-on, with laughter, love, and the spirit of creativity guiding him.